21 days of Halloween.
It is believed that water can be a conduit for the spirit world. And while you're out on the water on a sunny day, that might be the last thing on your mind. But maybe a late-night boat tour of the lake or an early morning fishing trip can allow you to see a seemingly harmless body of water suddenly as a portal for the paranormal. Here are 14 of the world's most haunted bodies of water. Enjoy. Devil's Pool, Australia. Devil's Pool is a natural pool created by surrounding boulders and a waterfall that feeds it. And as beautiful as it is, people say it's cursed. According to legend, Elana, an Aboriginal woman, drowned herself in the pool after being separated from her true love. Still searching for him today, she lures young men to their death in the green waters. 16 young men have died there in the past 50 years. Manchac Swamp, Louisiana. According to local legend, Julia Brown, a practicing voodoo priestess, used to sit on her front porch near the Manchac Swamp and sing, "One day I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna take all of you with me." That curse turned out to be true. On the day of Brown's funeral in 1915, a Category 4 hurricane tore through the area, causing hundreds of drowning deaths. These days, people say that Brown can be heard cackling on the shores of the swamp. Lower Yellowstone Falls, Wyoming. In 1870, a group of Native Americans stole pack horses from a group of 5 militiamen and their guide during the night near the area that's now known as Lower Yellowstone Falls in Wyoming. When they woke up, the men gave chase and caught up with the Native Americans as they were attempting to cross the treacherous falls. During the fighting, the Native Americans' makeshift raft sank and they were all swept over the falls and drowned. Today, some who stand on the platform at the falls swear they hear the death chant of the brave Native American warriors, and the river water is said to turn red on occasion. Truk Lagoon, Micronesia. If it's shipwrecks that make your spine tingle, then look no further than Truk Lagoon in Micronesia. That's where the wreckage of 40 Japanese ships and 25 American aircrafts that went down in the waters lie. They went down during Operation Hailstone, the ill-fated World War II battle. The underwater scene is described as a massive ship graveyard. Photos of the wreckage are absolutely chilling, and a haunting reminder of all of the lives that were lost in that one battle alone. Saco River, Maine. Sure, the Saco River is a great place for vacationers to go tubing, but you may not want to go after you find out about its rumored curse. As the legend goes, around 1675, a group of drunken English sailors crossed paths with the chief of the Saco tribe and his family. The sailors callously threw the baby in the river to see if he could swim. Sadly, the baby died a few days later. To enact revenge, the chief put a curse on the Saco River that 3 white people would drown in it each year. Whether or not the body count has held up, the murder of the child actually happened and likely led to further bloodshed in the years following. Bride's Pool, Hong Kong. The Bride's Pool a natural pool created by boulders with an adjoining waterfall in Hong Kong, is said to have gotten its name because a bride fell into the water and drowned on the way to her wedding. If that's not chilling enough, today some people report seeing a woman dressed in a red xiangsang and brushing her hair near the majestic waters. White Rock Lake, Texas. They say Dallas's White Rock Lake is haunted by a young woman wearing a soaking wet evening dress. Apparently, the girl tells people she was involved in a boating accident and needs to get to an address on Gaston Avenue. When she gets in the car's back seat, she disappears. These encounters have been reported off and on since 1964. Although no one knows who the woman is or whether a woman in an evening dress actually drowned there. Loch Ness, Scotland. There are some who believe with all their heart that a lake near Inverness in Scotland is haunted by a mythical being, also known as the Loch Ness Monster. There are over 300,000 visitors each year, and only 1 to 2 bona fide sightings. But those odds continue to inspire visitors who always carry their cameras, just in case Nessie decides to make an appearance. Blackwater River, Florida. Much like the Saco River, Blackwater River is also a popular tubing spot with a dark past. A woman with long black hair smelling of rotting flesh haunts the water and will attempt to drag you to your death if you can't escape her clutches. No matter what is causing the people to drown in the river, it would be wise to be careful when taking a dip. Lake Superior, Wisconsin. In 1985, more than a decade after the SS Edmund Fitzgerald sunk 500 feet to the bottom of Lake Superior, all 29 men on board were lost. It was spotted sailing on the surface of Lake Superior by a commercial crew. There's a perfectly reasonable explanation involving mist and a lighthouse. But there are those who believe that the Edmund Fitzgerald will continue to sail as a ghost ship in the choppy, icy waters of the lake that took it. Changi Beach, Singapore. During Japan's occupation of Singapore during World War II in 1942, tens of thousands of Chinese men who were suspected of having anti-Japanese sentiments were forced into the waters of Changi Beach and the machine-gunned en masse. It's said that the ghosts of these executed men remain trapped on the shores, crying and screaming as they suffer the same deadly fate over and over again. Manzanita Beach, Oregon. It is said that the 16th century Spanish sailors were shipwrecked off the Oregon coast. They hiked up near Nakani Mountain to hide their gold, burying it underneath a murdered African slave to serve as a warning. Some people say that more than one person was killed by the sailors, and that their ghosts still haunt the trails. Adding to the mystery, piles of stones show up on the beach every morning, and no one has ever seen anyone building them. Higbee Beach, New Jersey. Along the New Jersey shoreline, the sweet seaside town of Cape May harbors a horrible secret. It owns Higbee Beach, which is haunted by the ghost of Thomas Higbee, the proprietor of a hotel that once stood on the beach but was demolished in 1940. It could also be haunted by his father, or the loyal slave who watched over the Higbees' graves in the late 19th century. People report seeing a man dressed in 19th century clothing floating along the shore and hearing his laughter echoing over the waves. The Bermuda Triangle. No discussion of haunted water would be complete without including the Atlantic Ocean's Bermuda Triangle. Countless airplanes and ships have dared to enter the 500,000 square mile perimeter in perfectly good weather, and not the slightest hint of engine malfunction, only to disappear forever. Not for nothing, it's also known as the Devil's Triangle. I don't know about you, but I don't plan on going for a swim anytime soon, especially since it's October and I live in Michigan, and I'm not one of the lucky ones with an indoor pool. Besides, I'm not really a fan of swimming in open bodies of water anyway, where you run the risk of unknown creatures stealing a nibble and the ever-dreaded feeling of seaweed grazing your foot. I heard someone say once that when a piece of seaweed touches your foot, it's like the devil is licking your foot while saying the word, moist. See you next time.